Since the beginning of my video editing journey, I have been using free video editing softwares, mostly because I'm a student and I'm also poor, and finding a good video editing softwares, especially in the Windows space, has gotten quite easy. And after comparing and looking at all the free video editing softwares that are out there, I've come down to two most powerful video editing softwares, and those are Hitfilm Express and DaVinci Resolve. It's been 2 years since I've been using both of these video editing softwares, and I want to talk about the key differences between both of these programs and why I prefer one over the other. Lots of new and noticeable changes have been made to both Hitfilm Express and DaVinci Resolve in the last 2 years, but honestly DaVinci Resolve has seen bigger and significant changes as compared to Hitfilm Express, which kind of remained stagnant since 2017. And that is something which bothers me a lot about Hitfilm Express. So let's compare Hitfilm Express 16 and DaVinci Resolve 17. When we compare both Hitfilm Express and DaVinci Resolve in terms of interface, Hitfilm Express is definitely going to be the more minimal and cleaner application to use, while compared to DaVinci Resolve, which is quite complicated and can be intimidating for a beginner. Honestly, when I first started using DaVinci Resolve, but that doesn't mean it's cluttered. All the features are well organized and sorted. It's just that it will take some time for a new user to get used to it. Now, Hitfilm typically uses layer-based compositing in VFX, while on the other hand, DaVinci Resolve also uses layer-based editing, but for using most of the VFX and shape-based editing, you'll have to stick to the nodes of DaVinci Resolve, which is quite a bit confusing even for a user coming from Adobe Premiere Pro or even Final Cut Pro. So all in all, if you're just a beginner, using Hitfilm Express will be much more easier as compared to using DaVinci Resolve. Now, Hitfilm Express 16 hasn't really changed a lot from Hitfilm Express 15, that's the previous version, but DaVinci Resolve 17 has changed a lot from its previous version. While dealing with multiple clips and using multiple effects, or in order to be productive, we need a very fast editing software, and that is where DaVinci Resolve pulls miles ahead, as it's quite a bit faster than Hitfilm Express. Now, I've compared both of these softwares in their rendering times, and DaVinci Resolve was significantly faster. And that's not just with the rendering times. If you actually compare both of these softwares, you'll feel a huge difference in the performance by just applying few effects. Now, if I apply just a speed effect on a clip in Hitfilm Express, it actually slows down to 10 to 15 FPS. While on the other hand, DaVinci Resolve flies through the clips even if they're 4K or you have applied heavy effects on them once you turn on the rendered cache is on. Now, DaVinci Resolve balances the load between your GPU and CPU, while on the other hand, Hitfilm Express is mostly CPU based. So if you have a computer which doesn't have a dedicated GPU and you are only going to do basic editing, then Hitfilm Express is the way to go, because DaVinci Resolve will be very slow on computers which do not have a dedicated GPU. But if you do have a dedicated GPU, then DaVinci Resolve is the best way to go, because DaVinci Resolve really enhances the performance using your GPU performance, and that's really a big thing. Now, in terms of features, I'm going to lay it down straight. DaVinci Resolve has way more features than Hitfilm Express, and in the latest update of DaVinci Resolve 17, there is a lot more to offer, like the new HDR controls, color warping, which is kind of like the equivalent of HSL tab in Lightroom, targeted color grading using Magic Mask, and a lot more. Although some of these features are only limited to the studio version of DaVinci Resolve, but Hitfilm Express only got 2 or 3 noticeable changes in its version 16, and they're not really a big deal to me. Now, Hitfilm Express misses out on a lot of key features like the ability to stabilize footage, fake slow motion, a proper dedicated audio interface, ability to use LUTs, and a lot more. And all these features are available in the free version of DaVinci Resolve, and that's really a big deal. But that doesn't mean that Hitfilm misses out on basic editing features. It has features like, hang on a second, 3D compositing, color keying, matte effects, 2D and 3D tracking, masking, basic color corrections, lighting effects, warping, keyframing, 3D visuals, audio transitions, video transitions, blending, color picker, lens flares, preloaded presets, and a lot more. But DaVinci Resolve has all these features as well. Color grading probably has to be one of the most important aspects in a video editing software, as more and more people are getting into color grading these days, and it seems to be a really important thing. Now, DaVinci Resolve blows off the entire competition, let alone Hitfilm Express, in terms of color grading. While Hitfilm Express does have some color correction features, but the free version of Hitfilm, that's Hitfilm Express, doesn't really have anything at all except for few color correcting features like brightness and saturation and all these stuff which are next to useless, to be honest. On the other hand, DaVinci Resolve has almost all the features that you'll need to do a professional color grading in the free version itself. So if you're really serious about color grading, then DaVinci Resolve 17 is probably the only option that you have in all the free editing versions. While working on some important project, it's really important that your software is pretty reliable, and by that I mean is it shouldn't really crash that often, or even if it does, it should save the project and doesn't lose on the progress that you have made. Now, both Hitfilm Express and DaVinci Resolve are quite reliable as far as my experience goes, but at some point of time Hitfilm Express did crash on me, while DaVinci Resolve was quite stable throughout. Now, not to mention DaVinci Resolve 17, that's in the beta version, does crash quite a bit, and that's because it's still in beta. I'm expecting the stable version to be much more stable. So you can use the autosave feature to mitigate the data loss, but while using Hitfilm, and when it crashed, I wasn't able to recover the project for some reason, even if I saved the project. So that's something that you have to keep in mind while using Hitfilm Express. While that's not an issue in DaVinci Resolve, it was always able to save the data properly, and it was always able to load the data when I restart the application. So all in all, I have to say that both of these softwares are actually quite reliable. Yeah, Hitfilm Express does crash, but it's not that big of a deal. Certainly it doesn't crash as much as Adobe Premiere Pro, so I think in terms of reliability, both are equally good. Now, audio has to be one of the most important aspects of a video. I would argue that 50% of a video is just audio. Now, feel this audio with me. Okay, now without proper audio, it's really hard to make an impact in a video. So that is really important, and in terms of audio, I think DaVinci Resolve is miles ahead of Hitfilm Express, like literally miles ahead. Now, Hitfilm Express is only limited to a few rather useless audio effects, like who the hell wants this telephone effect? Yeah, okay. Now you can really get a lot out of Hitfilm when it comes to audio editing, while on the other hand, DaVinci Resolve is really good at it. Like, DaVinci Resolve is as good as Premiere Pro in terms of audio editing, and that is all you need. I think you really don't need a dedicated audio editor when it comes to using DaVinci Resolve, and that is all available in the free version. So after this entire comparison, you're probably going to say that I'm leaning towards DaVinci Resolve, and that won't be wrong, because Hitfilm Express does lag behind DaVinci Resolve by quite a big margin, and that's just in the free version. If we talk about the pay version of both these softwares, then but it all depends upon your requirements from the aforementioned video editors. If you're all about basic video editing with a little bit of VFX sprinkled upon it, then Hitfilm Express is the way to go. Not to mention that Hitfilm Express also runs on low spec hardware, while on the other hand, DaVinci Resolve needs quite a beefed up computer, although you get a lot more out of it. So this was the comparison between the latest versions of Hitfilm Express 16 and DaVinci Resolve 17. If you watched till here, thank you so much. Would be amazing if you like and subscribe. Bye.